Serious male prostitutes of Reddit. How did you end up in that profession? And how is it different from female prostitutes? Was a male escort for a number of years as my side gig. Per personal preference, I strictly only did anything with women. This is why it was only able to remain a side gig. Lol. Demand would ebb and flow. Sometimes nothing for nearly a month. Sometimes 3 gigs in a week. 80% of the time it was husbands who wanted to give their wives a MMF threesome. Sometimes this was so that their wives would become comfortable with them next hiring a female escort for a FFM threesome. Occasionally I was asked to source a friend for a MFFM foursome. I would just go online and hire a female escort. 15% of the time it was single women, usually around middle age. Recently divorced was common. Unlike the couples, who were essentially paying me, so that there was a guarantee of no emotional connection, the single ladies almost always wanted the simulation of a relationship. And, unlike the couples, they would hire me again and again and again. This was where most of my money came from. I had one woman who hired me nearly once every week for a year. She only stopped when it became all too apparent to her that our relationship wasn't real. 5% of the time it was the rich and busy type of woman, doctors, lawyers, executives, etc., for whom dating just took too much time. These were the best for me as they were usually the hottest, but because it was just sex for them, I didn't get the repeat business I would get from those who wanted to pretend they were in a relationship. As for pay, I would charge $150/HR, which is pretty much nothing compared to what female escorts get. But, you know, the laws of supply and demand and all. I'll respond to questions I've seen elsewhere here. How did it go with couples who hired you? Any negative reactions? I've only ever had one really negative experience with a couple, and that was when I was hired by the husband as a surprise. I bowed my way out of that situation as quickly as I could. Talk to your partner before embarking on any group sex adventure, people. Almost all couples seem to really love it, as far as I could tell. Typically these couples are hiring an escort because either one, they are afraid of jealousy and want to guarantee that I leave, and or two, they fear the stigma of group sex and want it to be as secretive as possible. From my own experience, personal and professional, and from talking with others, as long as both people in the couple are earnestly into the idea, there's almost never jealousy. In fact, the opposite, compersion, the joy of your partner experiencing joy. Perhaps for this reason, poly couples and swinger couples tend to report a happier marriage, better sex satisfaction, a more fulfilled life, and greater attraction to, and more frequent sex with, their own partner. It intuitively makes sense. You want a sexual partner, not a sexual opponent. Were women ready to just have sex? Typically, the women usually need at least a full hour to warm up to it. There's variation in both directions. They need to be put at ease, see you're not a threat, find you funny and smart, feel a spark, etc. Most of the time, this is what they're actually paying you for. The quickest are usually couples who hire you for a threesome or foursome, but even there the woman usually needs to warm up to you. I built a repertoire of jokes that often aided with this. Having a master's degree, no tattoo/piercings, and a very polite demeanor has helped a lot. A lot of clients have said that they hired me because I seemed the least douchy and had the best grammar in my listing. What's the biggest difference between male and female escorts? I've talked to some colleagues and the biggest difference I would say is that most of my money came from women who wanted to simulate a relationship, while most of their money came from guys who wanted a variety of women. Of course, we both had regulars and we both had one-time dabblers, but our proportions were flipped. Also, for men, most of your requests are from men. Oh, and women get paid a lot more. Were most of your requests from men? Yes, over 90% of the phone calls I got were from men who insisted that full aiders only in my listing didn't mean anything. My ex, who has since passed, so I'm sure he won't care if I share, fell into escorting after dating a dominatrix. He would then drive her and others around as kind of security. Some of the doms asked if he would be interested, so he started taking some older women out as an escort and going home with them. He had a woman in another state that would fly him out whenever her husband was out of town. It was almost entirely all older married women that kind of referred their friends to him. I'm not currently a male prostitute, but I was 2 decades ago. My experience is probably not all that typical. I got into the industry by having a girlfriend slash fuck buddy who was an escort, female prostitute, though I was unaware of her work for a long time. When I found out, and then overcame my initial objections slash revulsions, and continued to be her boyfriend slash fuck buddy, she started introducing me to her girlfriends in the industry, and even some of the local clientele who would get together at various bars at meet and greets. I played around with more than a few of the ladies, at my girlfriend's insistence, and was told more than a few times that I should try to be a male escort. So I figured, what the hell, let's give it a whirl. I set up a website, took out an ad in a local newspaper slash magazine notorious for drugs and hookers being in the classified section, and gave it a go. Unlike the females, who charged by the half hour or full hour for various forms and degrees of teasing or outright sex, I charged by the night, and was truly an escort. I started out small as I had no personal budget, and was not charging much, relatively speaking, but I would include dinner, some form of pre or after dinner entertainment, movie, concert, sporting event, etc., and I treated her like a queen the entire time. It was all about play acting, and making my client feel like she was the only woman in the world, the most beautiful and most sophisticated woman there was, etc. And then, if there was chemistry, or if she just tipped so much I could not say no, I would take her to a hotel or her place, and make out some, pleasure her orally, and, the most dependent part on the chemistry thing, possibly have sex. As things went on I started charging more and providing more, still making more profit, but having a larger budget allowed for more and fancier things, limo service, fancier restaurants, short little trips to nearby towns for various entertainments, etc., etc. I never was just a half hour or 1 hour service type of escort, and for the most part that was not what my clientele expected. But, and this was the reason for my fairly quick, about a year later, retirement, for every potential client I had call me, I had at least 24 men calling and harassing me for the bi or gay equivalent of a female escort slash hooker. And I do mean harassing me. I'm straight, and while I have never had any issues with bi or gay dudes, I have never had any interest in experimenting with that, but there was literally nothing I could say to get those assholes to stop calling, texting, emailing me. Most of those guys were straight too, or so they claimed, and just wanted a little experimental fun, or whatever. And almost every time I refused, they would get irrationally angry and act hateful slash bigoted to me, as if I were gay, and they found that disgusting, or something. It was the most backwards thing I ever experienced, and I chalk it up to them being self-loathing closeted gay homophobes. But they were around by the thousands back then. Been a male escort here, needed the extra bucks, never slept with a client, was just going out with them at restaurant, for a walk, etc. Charged $50/h for my service. Was nice to hear them talk about their life, being all chipper, and feeling happy by my presence, kinda made my days, when I did it. So, my time to shine. I've been a male prostitute since a few months. I ended up doing this because I didn't want a relationship. I don't like Tinder and endless chatting before meetups, but I do like to have sex. So I offered my services. I think the difference is I have maximum 1 client per month. There isn't that much need. The woman I see, for now, mostly want a nice evening. They want a gentle touch, someone who listens, someone who gives them all their attention. It isn't for sex. Edit. So, to clarify a bit, the women I see them as a sort of friends. I like to be in their company. One of them makes great food when I visit her. I don't want to be successful. I want to enjoy my life in the way I like it. It is difficult to find new clients, no dreamer, but I don't need other clients. I do it for fun, not for the money. The women choose what they pay me. They pay me an average of €200/evening. Sometimes they buy me gifts, or do my groceries, make dinner for me, stuff like that. I do have a real job. Monthly I have about €1,000 extra from them, gifts, cash included. If I would have a few extra clients, I could be able to live without the other job. I'll see what the future brings, and see if I can, or want to quit my other job. I know two guys who have been escorts. Both very intelligent guys. At the time they either had no other job or pretty low paying jobs. They got into it because they wanted income and liked having sex. They were friends with my partner, who is an escort, so she helped them. They were able to use her work apartment and get some free photo shoots. The main difference is that they get paid significantly less. A lot of guys are willing to be escorts, and there's less demand for them. Besides that, it's pretty much the same. Edit. In case it wasn't obvious, all clients are men or the occasional couple. None of the escorts I know have ever had a lone woman client.